Hello. We gotta have a difficult conversation at the beginning of this video, unfortunately. Greg built an awesome Madness deck entirely around the card Pumpkin Bombs, a legacy legal card, from a subset of the Spider-Man set called Spider-Man Eternal. This set does not exist on Magic Online, and there are currently no plans to bring this set to Magic Online. The effect on this card is incredibly unique to the point that I don't really think it is easily replicated by any existing thing within the legacy card pool. So today's video is an attempt at doing the best I can to bring Greg's Madness deck to life in the legacy format that exists on Magic Online, which is distinct from the real Paper Legacy experience, which is frustrating, but we're going to do our best. And I think I have still put together a cool deck despite all of that. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are playing Mono Red Madness. Now, I have played with assorted Madness decks on this channel and had a lot of fun with them, and at some points in the last couple of years, Madness was actually a relatively competitive legacy strategy. Today we are going to be playing with some Spider-Man cards. This is the legally distinct version of Hobgoblin Mantled Marauder, and this is the legally distinct version of Rocket-Powered Goblin Glider. So, whenever we discard a card, our Hobgoblin here is going to get +2/+0 until end of turn. And our Glider is going to be able to give creatures +2/+0, flying, and haste. And this has Mayhem, which is pseudo madness. The difference is that you can cast them if they have been discarded this turn. You can cast them from your graveyard. Now, the original version had Pumpkin Bombs and was going to be able to do much cooler things with some cards like Fiery Temper that this build is just not going to be able to support without it. So replacing Pumpkin Bombs is going to be notable broken card Lion's Eye Diamond. And we are going to go up on Anje's Ravager, which is fantastic with that. And to supplement our Hobgoblin here, we are going to pick up some other things that become stronger when you do discard some cards, and we are going to add Burning Inquiry into the deck as well. This is going to play out very, very differently from a deck that can play Pumpkin Bombs past the turn, discard 2 cards, potentially play 2 Madness or Mayhem cards, and then draw 3 cards out of it, so that Pumpkin Bombs activation is much, much stronger and feels closer to a draw 5 than a draw 3. But we're not going to get to do that on Magic Online, unfortunately. So this is the best I could do in making something similar to the idea of Mono Red Madness that Greg drew up. I'm just now noticing that we're a 61 card special. Let's junk 1 land. 28 mana sources is probably fine. Although the Lion's Eye Diamonds are mana sources, I think. As far as the sideboard goes, it's pretty targeted. We are going to try to cheese some free wins with Blood Moon from time to time. We've got our Graveyard Hate, and we've got our Artifact Hate. Notably, we do have some artifacts in this deck, but this is very much a this hurts you way more than it hurts me scenario. Beyond that, I'm just going to have a few extra fair pieces of removal so that we can help punch our creatures through in these fair matchups. And hopefully we can, put power and toughness on the board and turn it sideways. There's certainly other things you can do. You can add the other Rootwallas into the deck. You can add Hollow Ones into the deck. But we're going to try out some of these Spider-Man cards today and see how they actually are doing. If you end up needing any of these cards or any others, maybe it's starting to be holiday shopping season, consider using promo code ThrabenU at toamagic.com to save yourself a little bit on your order as you order some sweet and maybe expensive cards that you would like to save some money on. Plus free shipping. What's not to like? Alrighty, Let's battle. Okay, I think I am in for this hand. I think I'm gonna try to do something pretty gross on turn 2. Please don't be a combo deck. My hand is so incredibly sweet if I do not just get comboed off immediately. Go ahead and do this. And then I give myself the option to put this in if things get a little weird. Ancient Tomb is fine. Monolith is scary. This is the 4 mana point immediately. Oh shit. Okay, no immediate 4-drop. That's nice. I can attempt to do my own thing here. Wish I had 1 more mana. But I think it's correct to play this. So, bam. Go ahead and go to combat. Send on in. After no blockers, I'm going to go ahead and discard a bunch of cards. So my Hobgoblin is going to get very big, which may just prompt a Kozilek's command, and I'll be sad. This is turn 2. I am attacking for 7 power with that. Go ahead and cast one of those with Madness. The other one I'm a mana short of casting, but I have a mana left over, so we can Fire Breathe with the Lizard. This is half of my opponent's life total on turn 2. This is proof of concept. Am I going to just eat a Kozilek's command, though? That is the big question. Survey says it's likely. No? Yes, and you tapped your mana wrong before? Yeah. The other mode's Scry. The other mode is Scry. Bottom with that. I only deal 3 points of damage this turn, but I have a pseudo ancestral available to me next turn. Okay, so we can put this into play immediately. Send in for what is probably going to be 6 points of damage. Play Shark, play Faithless Looting. Kind of do want to have the mana to do this and give the Shark flying. Okay, no pump. Opponent takes 4. There's the Shark. There's the draw 2. I got a tapped mana source instead. I think I'm going bam bam, keeping the lightning bolt. Could have fire breathed with the way that was going. I'll pass. That's a new Urza Saga. This is currently just a 2/2 blocker. This is fine. I'm probably just lightning bolting face though. Yeah, so I think I am into lightning bolt your face. Oh, did you concede? Yeah, they conceded. Anyway, flashback Faithless Looting to make things bigger, and then swing for what was presumably lethal there. Alright, we're into stuff that looks like this in this matchup, and these are not necessarily off the table either. I think the wings are going to go with Null Rod as a respect there, and then I just have to decide how much of this can I fit into the deck. I'm absolutely the beatdown, unquestionably, but I think I need this stuff for my beatdown to go all the way. I think the Lizard probably goes. I don't know how much of this stuff I get. The lightning bolts are cool for planeswalkers. Let's assume Firestorm is too cute here. Keeping all of my artifact mana? I might still be keeping all of my artifact mana because it lets me do broken things with these 2 cards. Go down on Adept. I still have 3 respectable creatures if I do that, and then I max them out on lightning bolts that are interactive. That seems fine. I could also potentially go down on Burning Inquiry. I'm going to assume that this hand is a keep. Opponent going to 5 cards. Opponent go to 5 last game as well. They did. Variance not in their favor today. Yes. Absolutely. Lotus Petal, LED, Dark, Burning Inquiry. Nice. Well, let's yield to those. Now, am I good with this? I think I'm good with this. Sack this. More counters on Shark. 7/7. And go ahead and cast one of these. Casual 10 power in play on turn 1. You have discarded a 1 ring and a Glaring Flushraker. Now, it is still possible for, Planar Nexus 1 ring to happen here. Candle can untap that tower for a little extra mana. 6 mana on turn 2. I assume this is going to be a Kozilek's command. I'm going to lose the Ravager and then be in pretty bad shape. My opponent can make a whole bunch of chump blockers for my Shark, which does not have evasion. is Glaring Fleshraker into another Glaring Fleshraker. Hate that for me. The bottleneck here is cards. My opponent has 1 card remaining in hand. I will go land drop. Punchies. I am sending in for 10. I imagine that I'm not getting the full 7 through here. Yeah, I'm going to get 3 through. I think I'm going to Faithless Looting first. I want to find an LED and put this into play. So let's go bam bam. Put some more counters on my shark. And fetch Faithless Looting again. Ooh. I'm going to keep that lightning bolt for one of these two. No LED for my friend. Oh, how stupid is the remainder of my opponent's hand? That is now the question. We'll get to do the candle untap again. That is a Karn the Great Creator. I can now be staring down Ensnaring Bridge, which I don't handle well. I don't know if Greg built in outs to that at 9 already. Do we have outs to an Ensnaring Bridge? Not really. I will kill a Karn, pass the turn, and then maybe I can do something cool where I get lethal in one go with this. I think that's very unlikely. What a draw. What a draw after randomly discarding those two. We can stop there. Well, we did something very powerful. It just did not pan out. What my opponent was doing was just stronger. This is unimpressive. We'll mulligan this. Okay. Land drop, Lotus Petal, put Null Rod on the stack with Null Rod on the stack. Stack LED for Ravager. Totally fine. So bam, bam, bam. Put Null Rod on the stack. Sacrifice for triple red. Put my Ancestral Creature into play. And stick a Null Rod. That's pretty damn good as far as a turn 1 goes. We'll see if my opponent can keep up. Dismember. Fuck you. I mean, that's what they need, right? So now we will see if my opponent opens on one of the things that just gets around Null Rod. There's still Urza Sagas and Tezzerets and Karns that this doesn't impact. But that's a dead card. Alright. That's a good pickup on my end. This can turn things like Burning Inquiry and Faithless Looting into just a stupid amount of burn. We're still in it, baby. Up to 3 mana now. That's a scary Magic the Gathering card. This burn? I think this is just burn. Discard, discard. Triggers. Send in for 5. Opponent's at 10. Does my Null Rod do enough? Well, doesn't look like something broken is happening immediately. Alright. Land drop. Here's more burn. And it's possible that I am just doing this directly into Kozilek's command. Nice, another Faithless Looting is pretty good if this creature sticks around. That's just lethal next turn. Send it. Notably here, while my opponent figures out how to cast their spell, if this was a Voidmere instead, it would not have had the intended effect. Yeah, so they are taking out my creature. Get a bunch of spawns. Now I've got an empty board, which is not great. That turn 1 Dismember was a really big deal. There's a Manifold Key. My opponent is preemptively sacrificing all of their spawns. Another one. They're now at Metalcraft. So we're on full-on silly amounts of mana. My opponent can just get a Lattice and lock me out of the game here. Alright, we did stuff that was just bananas busted, and it was not good enough because of how strong my opponent's deck was. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, there is some degree of how wild do I go on turn 1 here? I think the answer is wild. I think we are just kind of all in on double shark aggro here. Because I can go discard my entire hand, always yield to these sharks. There's 2/3/3s immediately. Cast that for Madness, and then cast Faithless Looting. Discard 2 more. So that is 11 power on turn 1. That is really closer to 13. Your move! End turn. Respectable. Yep. That was pretty good. Playing against a totally unknown deck here, I don't really think that I'm going to sideboard. I could do the I'm going to assume that every deck is a Tamiyo deck until I'm proven wrong sideboard decision of play some extra lightning bolts. And I don't think that is the worst call. I think I'm just going to do that. My hand doesn't really do anything. Not anything broken anyway. Let's see if we can do better. This'll do better. I'll keep this and get rid of land drop 3. This probably swings for lethal on turn 3 if I were to guess. Honest to goodness fucking burn. Ulth out here a hero, fighting the good fight. Let our noble mountain decks fight each other. Love that. Shark. I'll play Shark immediately. If Shark eats a lightning bolt, that's gain 3 life. If Shark doesn't eat a lightning bolt, we're going wild. Goblin Guide swings in. I pick up a land. The extra cards are honestly nice here. 16. Opponent is passing the turn, so they have a lot of burn, not very many ways to deploy it. I think I'm just going to do this and set up for a very large turn next turn. It will also probably be a resilient turn. This is an unimpressive 2 points of damage. Ooh, I did not take damage at my end step. That's legitimately interesting. I'll pick up another land. I'm down to 14. Okay. Now, I think this is a let the show begin moment. Burning Inquiry. I'd like to discard these cards. I'm just going to say no to one of these. Then we'll see what happens. Fire Blast, Fairy Macabre. Sure. So there's a bunch of counters. I did not discard either one of the cards that I would have liked to discard, which is awkward for me. I think I'm going to hold this back. Send in for 1. 17. How good is Fairy Macabre against my deck? It has text. I don't know that it's great. I almost certainly... Okay. I'll take a damage. There's a shark. I have to be a little careful here. I can cycle this as a combat trick a little bit later on. Let's see what's coming. Let's say no to that. Let's resolve a Ravager. I think I'm okay sending in both of these under the understanding. Ooh. Well, I'm just going to not say the rest of that sentence. I think the attack with both of those was fine. It's very possible for me to just die on my opponent's next turn if they go 12 total damage to face directly. Is 12 total damage to face off 2 lands, plus Roiling Vortex is the 13 that I'm at. What was that? Skewer? Skewer, sure. I'll take another 1. Cycle Shark is worth 3 damage immediately. So let's do that. Triggers. Get big. Draw a card. Arena of Glory. There's not Faithless Looting in my graveyard just before I do this. Yeah, there's not. Alright, so let's exert Faithless Looting. Give this creature haste. Give that fire breathing. Go to combat. Send in for what is a you need to kill me or you're dead amount of damage. But opponent could have 3 1-mana cards that go to my face here. That is a Swift Spear. That is another Swift Spear. That is a Goblin Guide. This is 4 damage. Is there a Fire Blast? Okay, no, opponent is not going full aggro. Lion's Eye Diamond is my top card. I take 1. If I attack with all of these creatures, I deal 1 point of damage, unless I Lion's Eye Diamond. Lion's Eye Diamond deals me 5 points of damage. Sorry, yeah, off Roiling Vortex. and then I just discard my hand and my opponent dies. Gut shot kills me, I guess. Such is life. Take 5. Go to 1. Combat. Send on in. Discard. For red, red, red. Bump the lizard. Kill ya. Opponent, you're a hero. You are trying to do something kind of crazy in Legacy, and I can respect it. But my mountain deck prevails. GG. This is sort of a difficult to evaluate hand because it has infinite potential but doesn't really do anything broken immediately. I think I just mulligan hands that look like this because I am capable of doing such stupid things. At this point, I'm probably keeping here. And this is the way that I win the game. So 100%, I'm keeping these plus Burning Inquiry. I'm always throwing back 1 Faithless Looting, and then I think I'll keep Faithless Looting under the understanding that I am probably discarding it, and then flashing it back as burn. Opponent says hello. Basic Forest and a Mana Dork. Lightning Bolt obviously would be good here. We will just do a Surveil land on turn 1 instead and be just totally fine with that fact. We've got a Windswept Heath. That is not a reach creature, so we can still bash in for a bunch of damage. But filling my opponent's graveyard may have negative side effects in this matchup. So we'll just keep that in mind. Surveil, another Faithless Looting. I mean, future burn? Future burn. So we are throwing down just for 1 damage here. Well, next turn, I could be discarding like 7 cards next turn. If I played like looting, then Inquiry. No Surveil land or anything there. I'll take a little bit of damage, more from the Exalted off the Hierarch here. I think I am going to start with one of these. Ooh, setup turn now? Let's go setup turn. If I get 2 out of line, this just gets Talon Gates. Madara Uchiha phases my ass out, so let's not do that. Always yield to this. I'll send in for a modest 5 points of damage. Are we endurancing? We are endurancing, which gets rid of both of my copies of Faithless Looting. Alright, is combat damage going through? Combat damage is going through. Now, to talk about more bad things that can happen to me, because I am a prophet. Orcish Bowmasters is something that my opponent is very likely playing, and before these have +1/+1 counters on them, Orcish Bowmasters picks these off. In addition, a flash Orcish Bowmasters is kind of a disaster. That is a decent amount of exalted damage with protection, and the vigilance here is nice as well. I'll get smacked. I am okay having a different card other than Wooded Foothills in hand at the end of this. And we'll see how big this creature is. Got a little bigger. We do have some madness. Yield to this. There's our madness. Unfortunately, the white is now bigger than my creatures, so I can't attack immediately. I don't think this is boding well for me. My opponent can pick up all sorts of nonsense. Gaia's Cradle probably being the most broken one. I don't think time is on my side in this matchup. We lose 1 Hierarch. There's the Cradle. Actual cast Once Upon a Time. We have found a new Hierarch. Cradle tapping for 4 right now. Natural Order? Natural Order. Uh-oh. Okay, it's just Grist. I'm not great versus an army of chump blockers, and my opponent doesn't need to attack here. Even though that Natural Order didn't instantly kill me, there's a very good chance that it's just bad for me. Can't meaningfully interact with the creatures anymore. I think I'm passing the turn here, hoping that they minus Grist. I get to Lightning Bolt Grist, and then I find just some absolute crazy Burning Inquiry sauce. Lair of the Hydra, the pickup, is not normally a very impressive Magic the Gathering card, but combined with Gaia's Cradle, things can get a little silly. Grist minus did not happen. This is getting increasingly worse for me. Something crazy is happening. Oh, it's just Lair of the Hydra. Sure. I think I am now at the point where I'm comfortable conceding. Like, with these having Shroud and Grist backup and all that, I don't think I'm in a good position. I will probably go for extra removal here. I'll turn my Hobgoblin Glider, or whatever it's called, into extra lightning bolts. You have Menace. Menace. Actually, maybe the glider matters too much. It's weird because my opponent has a bunch of ways to Bojuka Bog, but there is going to be a lot of board stall situations. Let's try this. I don't know that I'm going to go in on the Blood Moons here, despite the fact that they absolutely have some real text. This is turn 1 Shark, turn 2 Ravager. I don't know if that's broken enough. I think it's too easy for one removal spell to to just kill me. This is going to be bananas. Keep this pitch Faithless looting. So I get to play a Shark this turn, then exert Arena of Glory for a hasty Shark next turn, and then Burning Inquiry to pump both of them. So, honest to goodness aggro strats over here. Opponent has some kind words, as well as a Sylvan Safekeeper in hand now. Ravager is cool. Exert my land. There's a hasty Shark. This doesn't have to be spent on creatures. There's Burning Inquiry. If there's a Fatal Push or a Snuff Out, this is the moment. Or Dismember. I like Dismember. Dismember deals damage to them when I am on a beatdown strat. Okay, they got it. Dismember is a little weird to cast on Magic Online. If you are making black mana, you have to click this first before you pay with the black mana. Otherwise, it defaults to doing the Phyrexian mana. Yeah, an opponent says exactly that. Yep. So, I'm not going to be able to pay for that Ravager. I don't have the mana, but I'm still just crashing in for 4 damage here. Which, given that my opponent dismembered, means that... Oh! Snuff Out too! Disgusting. So the Snuff Out was in the second set of cards that they drew. There's a Reclaimer, which is already a 3/4. I wonder if I'm saving stuff and this becomes a Firestorm hand. I think it is. This just makes it more awkward. Oh, my Firestorm. Opponent's at 9. If they attack me, I can make the Lizard hasty. 17. Lotus Petal. Exert. Ace. Pump the Lizard. You're down to 6. Like, I know this walls, but 6 life is scary. You've got it. I have not used a Surveil land yet. Now, the unfortunate thing here is that my opponent will have access to Elvish Reclaimer's activation. Oof. Another large creature. Surveil. Thundering Falls. Ravager. Probably above average. Take it. I think we're just good with that coming in with haste and drawing me some cards. Hopefully taking out the white of the Reliquary. They're not the best cards. So I'm expecting to lose both of my creatures in combat, but for white to die. I don't think my opponent can take a hit from either of these, so I think both do. Ooh, they are going to take a hit. So I'll pump. Opponent goes to 3. So if I draw a Lightning Bolt at any point this game, it is lethal. There's varying degrees of cute that I can try to be with Lion's Eye Diamond. I think I'm just not going to be cute at all. Like, I can put this into play, try to make my opponent plan around only getting hit by 1 lizard, and then try to madness it in. I don't know that that's actually good. Hierarch. Safekeeper. Ooh, I'm scared. I might die. Once upon a time. Did I keep the gliders in? Where did I fall on that? I did. Playing a big deal right now. Another once upon a time. Alright, Grist is incoming now. That was a really good turn cycle from my opponent. Okay, they're sending in a couple of creatures. I think, fine not blocking here. Flying is cool. I think I save that for next turn. Then play it and LED at the same time. LED discards 1 card, and then it's just lethal. If I play it out now, Grist can minus and kill it. If white of the Reliquary attacks again, I might be doing something that tries to make it tap. so that Talon Gates can't mess up my combat. That's that tapping for mana. Am I just getting hoofed? There's a green sun for 7, so not hoof Atraxa. Still bad. I wonder if I lose this one for playing out an extra land drop and not having a card to discard this turn. Keen-Eyed Curator, Green Sun, Dismember. Sure. I don't want to accidentally die to something weird here, so I will go ahead and probably block. I don't think these creatures matter anymore. I'm going to go ahead and double block and see if I can promote some action here. I believe the top card of my library being Lightning Bolt. 6 power worth of lizards. What do you want to do about it? Backing a creature. Opponent can get a Dryad Arbor here. Sacrifice the Dryad Arbor via Sylvan Safekeeper. Nope, not doing it. Thought that was going to be what happened. I guess it doesn't matter, right? Lightning Bolt. Not Lightning Bolt. No Faithless Looting in yard. No Faithless Looting in yard. Yeah, that Atraxa saves my opponent. Great game of Magic there. GG. So I think I'm looking at a hand here that is super, super reasonable if my Ravager lives, and just terrible if it doesn't. I think I'll keep it. Like, playing a 3-drop on turn 1 is just objectively powerful, but I think a lot of times this is going to eat a Daze or a Lightning Bolt or whatever, and then I just lose. So do I play around Daze? I don't think so. I think I am hoping to either get lucky by this card resolving, or by my opponent not having a removal spell. Or I think I said that wrong. I think we're hoping to get lucky, because I don't think this hand wins if I'm not lucky in some capacity. And I can still play Magic if I, rip another creature off top. Because sometimes we're not playing against Delver. Ooh, Galvanic Discharge. Might actually be like a Jeskai control deck. I think I wait a turn on that and Surveil right now. Try to convert this into damage with a Hobgoblin or a Shark or the Menace guy that I haven't been drawing. Yeah, Jeskai. Galvanic Discharge would be a little bit weird out of a true Delver deck. It doesn't go to face like Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt would. So we're at land drop 3. This is the point where the scary planeswalkers and stuff can start coming down. This is where my opponent can play like a Thundertrap Trainer and still have a removal spell available afterwards. I suspect that this is going to end up being a very bad matchup for me. My opponent just has basically infinity removal. Just a ton of 1-drop, or effectively 1-drop removal, and then Flame of Honor later on as kill your guy and do something else on top of it. Because of Flame of Honor, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and kill the wizard. I don't think, just how these decks match up on paper, that I'm gonna have a good time. Surveiling. I do not want additional mana here. I'm into that. So let's loot. I want to find a Ravager here. All right. We're going in. Blizzard. Opponent Force of Wills. That means they've got something good they want to keep, right? Blizzard. Damn it. Found the Ravager too late. Well, I don't think I got whatever the good card in my opponent's hand was. But now I've got a copy of Faithless Looting in yard. Opponent can buy back a Force of Will here. No, they're going to buy back Ponder. Oh. That's a draw 2 that transforms Tamiyo. Now Tamiyo is up to 4 loyalty. And I'm hellbent. Ravager? Ravager is so good. Well, I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm going to cast Faithless Looting like this so I can leave open Arena of Glory. That is not panning out. I can make a lizard. I will concede. Actually, without an extra card in hand. No. It's fine. What I did was fine. So I don't have anything like Red Elemental Blasts here. I want to go up the extra copies of Tamiyo. Does this give power? This also gives power. Haste is annoying. I think I just have to play Lightning Bolts in respect of Tamiyo. I think that means that I'm going down some threats. This goes wild later on. This is going to be slow to get going. Unless I draw like a Lotus Petal or something, I'm not going crazy until turn 3. At which point I could potentially double Burning Inquiry and potentially kill in one combat if my opponent were not to interact with me. But, you know, we probably know how that goes. Opponent fetches. All right, Shark doesn't get removed immediately. That could mean that I just play double Burning Inquiry this turn and try to hit for a bunch of damage with the Shark. It is going to mean that. So there's a Shark. Fetch. Burning Inquiry. Could get Force of Willed here. Does get Force of Willed. We can try again next turn, and if I hit a Mana Source, I can have 3 things in play that all scale up with Burning Inquiry at the same time. That would be hot. I would like that a lot. So my opponent did keep with their Ponder. Okay, and I do hit the land drop. This Burning Inquiry is so much damage. For 3, 6, 12 damage. That's another Force of Will, which means these creatures are unimpressive as of right now. And we could run into some things like Wrath of the Skies taking out multiple of my creatures at the same time. That's not great. Let's Surveil, see if we hit Faithless Looting. Lotus Petal I'm not interested in. This is only 3 points of damage. Not where I want to be as the aggro deck. Oh, we're not even getting 3 points. 11. I'm going to cast this, but sometimes this just makes a Flame of Honor better. But this potentially allows some of my creatures to get in with haste next turn. Mystic Sanctuary enters tapped because of Mountain. Well, I mean, cycling though? No, I don't think I cycle. Let's go haste here. Good enough to get another targeted removal spell. Yeah, Snapcaster, Swords, sure. So I don't think I need to trade one of these for Snapcaster Mage. I can just equip and give flying and go over the top. But I'm going to attempt to trade one of these for Snapcaster Mage so that my opponent does not have a wizard in play for Flame of Honor. And they, realizing what's going on, obviously keep their wizard. Lion's Eye Diamond does not have text right now. This is a very bad situation that I'm in. I'm turning creatures sideways. So, are we going to get the Flame of Honor that clears my board? Kill a creature, destroy an artifact, trade in combat. We are. Wait, draw 2? Draw 2 instead. I'm getting to keep my haste. We'll see whether or not that ends up being a good thing. Land drop 5 means hardcast Force of Will is online. Alright, Lizard. Equip. Good enough for a response. Yikes. That's another Flame of Honor. Opting for the draw 2 mode again. I don't know. Haste seems very threatening to me. Alright, they've got a prismatic ending for it. Sure. Life's bad. I am at 18. My opponent's at 7. I mean, I guess. Brainstorming. Opponent fetches on their own turn. I think if they find a Haymaker, it's just over, right? If there is any, like, 4th Aerlinga's style card here. Even, like, a Narset or something would be pretty bad. That is yet another Flame of Honor. At this point, Lightning Bolt as the top 2 cards of my deck might just be my best out. Thundertrap Trainer. We're at the point of the game where my opponent could start consider doing these with Offspring. Fairy Time Raveler does some gross things against my deck. I think we're probably done here. I could play towards double Lightning Bolt on the top of my deck, but I don't think that's super likely. GG's. Alright, my opening hand is not innately unfair here. Let's mulligan. Surveil land, pass turn. Turn 2. Faithless Looting. Discard, discard. Use Lotus Petal to activate Arena of Glory. Get haste on this. Draw 3. That seems more broken. Basic Island. Scalding Tarn pass. Merfolk. There's a bunch of weird flash merfolk that can do some weird stuff. We'll send that to Graveyard. So here we go. Bam. Bam. Looting. There's Force of Negation. I think just means this becomes a creature that I hardcast, and I do this with haste more naturally next turn. Blood Pit's Drowner. Going to get a stun counter, that's fine. That's annoying. It's an actual factual true name nemesis, which my deck doesn't really beat. I think I have to lightning bolt this just as a creature that I can remove right now. Shark? Shark's weird. Shark is a way to make something that is ultimately bigger than true name nemesis. Playing the shark is just such a bad use of my mana. I think I'm going to do this with no exert. Play my 3-drop while I can. Get denied. So now my hope is that my opponent is bad at combat and does not properly evaluate whether or not they are the beatdown or control at any given time. Like, the more... Never mind. Alright. That was very unlucky. Does my haste matter here? My haste doesn't really matter here. I think I just don't do the haste. Well, my haste can matter here on the absolute highest possible roll. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. I'm going to have my land available for the next turn instead, I think. I could wait a turn on the Burning Inquiry. I think I'm not going to do that. I will just guarantee my counters. Pick up a Rootwalla while I'm at it. No Faithless looting in yard. I imagine that I'll lose Arena of Glory. Alright, opponent has put themselves in the beatdown role. I believe that I am the beatdown. I do lose Arena. Doesn't do anything right now. I am hypothetically attacking in for 10 points of damage here. Pump and pump. Opponent is at 9. So this is not lethal immediately. Opponent attacks once now. 6. I don't think I am on outs, but I'll cycle. Hit LED. That doesn't do anything interesting. Alright. I am dead, unfortunately. True name nemesis, particularly good against my deck. I can play some extra creature removal here. I think these are going to go... My Ravagers are actually worse than normal because my opponent has True Name Nemesis. I need this flying. I really don't want to need the flying. I might need that flying. I need to check on my cats. So this has early interaction in the form of a lightning bolt, followed by a very aggressive creature. I think this is fine. I don't think this is one of my higher tier of hands or anything, but it's fine. Actually, I'll probably start on a Surveil land that has more overall potential than past turn. Opponent is on 6 cards. They did take a mulligan. That's a vial. I'll grab my Thundering Falls. Yes, I am happy to keep that. That represents a lot of damage, assuming this creature resolves. And it does. Send it. 9 or 19, blah. The next turn, this creature could be attacking for like 13 damage. So, things can get all sorts of weird. I didn't get wastelanded. I'm going to start here, and there's a very good chance that my opponent will play the tappy thingy in response here. They don't. Let's just yield to those. This is a 7 power creature. Send in. Petty Theft. Alrighty. I think since that has haste, I don't redeploy that immediately. I just play my expensive card now. It does resolve. Unlicensed Hearse is still in the deck. Wild. Alright. There's a haste creature. Go to combat. Send on in. Trigger. I think I just lightning bolt face there and only discard 1 card. There's a shark. There's 6 theoretical damage, but oh, nope. Opponent is at 10. I'll cast a new shark. Next turn I can discard a handful of cards and pump up the team. Maybe be okay versus some lords. Okay, yeah. Opponent just died. I wonder if there was a misplay on my initial Burning Inquiry where my opponent chose not to counter that, going, what's the worst that could happen? And then they died. Actually, I'm going to cut my opponent a break in regards to Unlicensed Hearse. I'm not doing anything with, like, Vengevines or anything of that nature that comes back from the graveyard and is super, super scary. It's, like, just Faithless Looting and technically Stitcher's Wings. But I think it is reasonable for my opponent to think that I have some stuff like that. So if I know that they have the Graveyard Haste and Stitcher's Wings specifically goes to exile Sorry. Has to go to the graveyard and then be cast from it. Not always, but sometimes there's priority passes where this can get removed by unlicensed hearse. So I think I will turn those into Flameblade Adepts again. Yep. This hand's insane. Displays 2 different Ravagers on turn 1. And has Faithless Looting as a bait card, I guess. Yeah. So there's a Faithless Looting that my opponent can choose to counter. If I'm doing this, I can just do it at their end of turn and have one more Lotus Petal. Or cast another Faithless Looting right now. Let's cast another Faithless Looting right now. Cast. Sometimes I hit a Lizard. Okay, there's a Hydroblast. Now my opponent has tapped their mana. We successfully used a Faithless Looting as a bait. Then I think I'm just going to do this while my opponent can't Hydroblast. So there's 1. And there's 2. Second basic island. I don't need to cast that. Am I going to get tapped down? I will. But it only taps down 1 of them. So this is still fine. My opponent will take 3 damage. And then I will just put 2 more lizards in play. And this is still just a lot of objective power going my opponent's way next turn, even if one of these is tapped down for a little while. Sure, that's fine. And this does have vigilance, so my opponent can attack. And I'm good with that. I don't need to trade 2 lizards for it, but I can trade 1 for it on the offensive. Ooh. The Lord is the much better creature. This is the one that can trade with my Ravager, though. So let's do the one that can trade with Ravager. Go to Punchies. Hydroblast is exactly what my opponent needs. I'll send in with both of these, though. My opponent does not block. I'll pump the Lizard. Deal my opponent 4 points of damage. And next turn I get another attempt at a draw 3. Another Lord is fine. As long as my opponent is only deploying 1 card per turn cycle, I'm okay. If they do that and then like Hydroblast my Ravager as well or something, then it's a disaster. Wow, that's a wild attack. All right, they're going in. Their last card might be a flash creature then. I'm fine casting this. I would like to draw 3. Don't get to attack with the lizards this turn. I don't have mana available. Wow, those are bad cards. Opponent takes it. I'm fine playing out the pedal. There's a little bit of weirdness when it comes to damage output in this card. I think the damage output is fine if I can cast a Faithless Looting. It's another land drop. Opponent is fully on the defensive. Surveil land is interesting here. I think I don't want to surveil. I think I don't want to get wastelanded. But I also don't want to draw a land. Lion's Eye Diamond. There's a lot of permutations of what can happen here. I think I'm just starting here. Alright, and that is good enough to get the concession. We beat Merfolk, which is the most important thing of all. No shame brought to my family today by losing to Merfolk. GG's. Alright, Greg, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This card is definitely real. The damage output that this card is capable of is crazy, and it feels like a very, very big upgrade from this. This is something that I have often boarded out or not been impressed with while playing this deck, because this is just a little bit of temporary damage. You're often playing it as a curve filler, but this card scaling up by, say, 6 damage when you cast a Burning Inquiry, or a similar amount when you use LED to junk your hand, is a ton of burn. So, Greg, I am glad that you had me explore this. Like, this feels real within this archetype. And I wonder if you can do, like, some other silly combo nonsense where you do, like, okay, I'm going to discard my hand, draw 7 cards nonsense, and then all of a sudden this becomes just a very easy way to win the game on limited resources. Probably not, but maybe worth exploring for the brewers out there. I am on the fence on Stitcher's Wings. The flying and the haste both definitely mattered, but To cast this card properly without cheating it in, it is 5 mana to get this equipped, which is a gajillion D. Basically infinite mana by legacy standards and probably 2 turns worth of your mana. And that is definitely not worth it. Greg, when you start thinking about your paper version of the deck that is allowed to play the pumpkin bombs, these are probably some of the weaker things here. You can mess around with fiery tempers probably better than this version of the deck can. Maybe this deck needs more lightning bolts in the main, and then in the sideboard you can make room for a couple of things that can answer an ensnaring bridge. That was something that we couldn't really beat with the current build. But overall, I'm going to give this one a big thumbs up. You, I guess, could also consider going down a few lands and playing a few more Simian Spirit Guides. The original version had Simian Spirit Guide where I have Lotus Petal. I liked Lotus Petal better because it could sit around from turn to turn when some of the like discard your hand stuff got involved. But overall, I like what this is putting down. We technically had a negative record today, but we did some crazy, crazy things, which I think is great for a first draft of a deck. And if Pumpkin Bombs ever makes its way to Magic Online, which again, it is not currently planned to ever come out, if it does, I would be definitely willing to revisit this again. With that, I think I'm going to call it a day, and I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!